Christopher Ward release tons of watches throughout the year. They're constantly updating a lot of their mainstays in their collection, like their dive watches and their field watches. However, once in a while they come out with something that is a little bit more, like the Bel Canto or the Titanium 12. Today we're taking a look at their latest release. This is their newest Moonphase. It's called the C1 Moonphase, and this gets a full Aventurine dial. My discussions with the brand on this watch were pretty extensive. The design here was really thought out. Every little aspect was scrutinized and made perfect. And obviously the goal here is to make a watch that looks a lot more expensive than it actually is. Very similar to what you get with the Bel Canto, an extremely popular watch for the brand. And I think today we're taking a look at another watch that is sort of artistic in nature, the C1 Moonphase. So this is Christopher Ward's latest release. It's actually released today on the 26th of October. This is their new Moonphase, and they are very proud of this watch with very good reason. Immediately you're going to notice the very large Moonphase display, very similar to what you got from the Moonglow. However, this is very different from that Moonglow. However, it does operate somewhat similar to that watch. This does get a Sellita SW200 that you can see from the back, and it has the same module, which is the JJ04. That large moon is lumed. So you do get lume on this dial, and you have these black polished hands. So you have this very simplistic dial. So it's very different from the Moonglow. There is not a lot going on this dial. And speaking of the dial, this is an Aventurine dial, and the layer below that, where that Moonphase sits, is another disc of Aventurine. So basically you never have anything but Aventurine on the dial, and of course that moon. Everything else has been taken away. They removed the indices. There's no logo. So this does not say Christopher Ward on it anywhere. It just says Swiss made right at the bottom of the dial. It's a little bit distorted by the box sapphire crystal, so in many cases you can't even see that Swiss made. So what they've done here is really thought about the design in and out to make it as clean as possible. Now you'll be able to get this on a bracelet or a strap. This is on the bracelet. What they've done, this is the C1 Moonphase, that's what they're calling it, so nothing too complicated. You get a screwed in case back where you can see the Sellita SW200 has the new blackened Christopher Ward rotor. That's basically the only place that it's actually signed with the name Christopher Ward. I mean, you do have their logo on the crown, of course, but that's really it. Oh, and on the bracelet, so the bracelet does say Christopher Ward right here. You know, it is their new bracelet, double push button, butterfly clasp, very nicely made, big screws in this bracelet. It's sort of a Jubilee style bracelet, but not really. It's a multi-link bracelet, I would say, actually. You have quick release and of course solid end link. So a beautiful bracelet that really does go well with this case. You can see that's the C1 case here, that sign crown that has a typical, very typical Christopher Ward crown, which is very deeply etched. And you have 4 screws holding in the case back where you can see the movement. And there's just a little bit of information around that case back. It looks fantastic. It's an elaborate grade, so you have those blued screws. It's nicely decorated, and you have that Christopher Ward logo that's in black. It looks great. This is a really nicely sized watch as well. It's around 40.5 millimeters, just under 13 millimeters thick. You have about a 47.7 millimeter lug to lug. That's at the case. At the bracelet, which has male end links, it's around 51 and change. The crown is around 6.3 millimeters. So a very nicely sized watch that will please most wrists. I am very excited about what Christopher Ward is going to do next. It seems like they look at all of their watches and make improvements. So I wouldn't say this is an improvement over the Moonglow. This is just a really different interpretation of that watch, of their Moonphase. You're getting that same big Moonphase, but this is more artistic than it is sort of functional. Obviously, I really like the look of this watch so much that I'm definitely buying one of these watches. This is, for me, sort of like the Bel Canto release. That was something that was higher end that they offered at a really good price. And this is actually at a very, very good price. This on a strap, and I have to say, on a strap, it looks amazing. I don't have the strap that it's coming with, but they're putting it on a cav leather strap that looks really good. It comes in at around $2,325 on this bracelet, and I do suggest getting it on the bracelet and buying the strap separately. This is $2,475. And if you look at the market for Moonphases, if you want something that looks like this, you're going to spend a lot more money, especially if you want something that is Swiss made. Something that looks very similar to this, and this might have taken inspiration from, is the H. Moser & C Moonphase. So they make a Moonphase that has an Aventurine dial as well. There is a moon, but when the moon is not completely covering that window, there is a black portion that is there, and it's not Aventurine. So I think what they were going for here is that you will always have an Aventurine, a full Aventurine dial, except for that moon, which is again Lumed. So really good execution, very sort of simple in execution, but it makes a big statement. This is a beautiful watch, I have to say. I really like the execution here. So very quickly, I'm going to show you the watch that I have on my wrist, and then we will do a lume shot, and we'll also put this on my wrist so you can see what it looks like. But it actually wears very similar to the Bel Canto, which is the watch that I have on my wrist today. So you could see there, the Bel Canto around 40 millimeters, 40.5 millimeters, somewhere around there. Very similar case. However, this Moonphase is in stainless steel, while the Bel Canto is in grade 5 titanium and grade 2 titanium on the bracelet. So the Moonphase is in complete stainless steel. Well, there it is on my 7.5 inch wrist, and I have to say, it's just a really good looking watch. I think they executed this perfectly. And if you're in the market for a out of the ordinary Moonphase, something that is just cool, it's not going to be legible at all times because you do have those black polished hands against that black background. So technically it is black, that Aventurine, but obviously it's meant to look like a night sky. That's kind of the point of Aventurine. Aventurine is basically glass, and it has some specs in it of different materials. It's a man-made material, so it's not a naturally occurring material, but it is pretty difficult to make, I believe, especially to cut. So that's why this is actually pretty cool. The hands themselves are just dagger hands, and they're a little bit beveled, and they have a very high black polish on them. So, they do stand out in certain lighting, but in certain lighting they will wash out. Well, there you go. You can see that the moon is very brightly lumed. Hands are not lumed. Obviously, there are no indices. This is a dress watch, so obviously very forgivable. I did move the moon so you could see the entire moon being lumed. Beautiful watch, and I would compare this to something like an Arnold & Son Moonphase or that H. Moser & C that I mentioned before. Those are two very high-end brands that make really cool large Moonphases, and this is sort of an affordable version of those watches. And in fact, I think this might be better looking than either one of those watches. And this is actually much smaller than the Arnold & Son. The Arnold & Son are around 42 millimeters or 43 millimeters. So, this will actually be better for more wrists as well. I think it's a really great looking watch. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. Christopher Ward have released really cool watches over the past 3 or 4 years, and they continue with the movement, with that momentum with this new release. The Bel Canto, the 12, now this, 3 very good looking watches. This is more of their art or creative line of watches. I would put this more with the Bel Canto than their normal line of watches. Even that 12, I think, sits with their normal line of watches because it's an integrated bracelet watch that is really nice, but I just feel like this is a little bit different, a little bit more special. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It's super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you in the next video.